5. What is going on, everybody? My name is Adam. Me here today in episode 152 or 3 of Our Real Addiction. It's going to be a shorter episode, probably going to feel a little bit more like Movie News Monday, but that is okay. If you haven't already, Movie News Monday has made its long-awaited return back to the YouTube channel, so go check out the latest of episodes that I've dropped for it. I would appreciate it. Also, got a couple of spoiler reviews coming alongside my buddy Joseph. We're going to have the Maestro spoiler open discussion up very, very soon, hopefully within the next week or so. If not this Friday, definitely by the end of next Friday. By next Friday. We'll have that discussion up of our thoughts of the film, because we went to go see it at the Chinese theater, which was an awesome experience. We also were able to witness a conversation between Bradley Cooper, the director, and the lead actor in the film, with his executive producer of Steven Spielberg. So they were having a conversation after the film. Such an awesome experience. And I do have video recordings of their conversation, highlights of the conversation. So I'll be posting those to the YouTube channel in full. I know I already posted them on the Instagram, but there will be a YouTube version of it, of a single length video. But yeah, and Miguel should be returning soon. We're going to gonna reach out to him to see when he will be joining the podcast again, because he's been on a little break. But yeah, I know we've texted throughout, and he's super excited to get back, but he's also needed the break, so can't wait for him to have him back. But no rush at all. We're just gonna jump right into the box office. Before we get started with the box office, I only have 2 topics for you here today. We have Stranger Things 5, an update on that, and an update on Avatar 3, and some Avatar 4 update. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Excuse me. So we're just going to get right into it. So with the box office for the week of December 8th through December 10th, we have coming in at number 5 is Renaissance, a film, quote unquote film, by Beyonce. And it opened 2 weeks ago now, just about 2 weeks ago. And since it made $5.5 million in its second week. And since then it is at 36 million, 28 of that being domestic and 7 million of that being international. The reason I say in quotation marks is it's very much like the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert that was live. It's really just a recorded version of one of her shows to sell to people. I don't blame her. Easy check. Probably won't do as well as the Taylor Swift one, but I mean, $36 million. I'm very curious as to how much she pumped into this. $36 million worth? Maybe. I doubt that, though. I I guess we'll see. I wonder also how much actually goes to her and not to her label. Coming in at number 4 is Trolls Band Together, making $6.1 million. It's now been out a little close to a month, so it's been out 25 days, 3 weeks. It's currently at 174 million, 83 of that being domestic and 90 million being international. I haven't seen it. However, this is the film that brought back In Sync, which is super awesome. I have to check it out because I did see the last couple Trolls, which overall they're pretty funny kids films. I mean, I'll check them out, no problem. But I just haven't taken the time to see this one. But no, yeah. Hats off to Trolls, making 174 million. I'm pretty sure that's a success in the eyes of DreamWorks, because I believe DreamWorks is it's Universal. Excuse me. I'm sure it's a massive success for Universal just because the last Trolls released in the pandemic. So I'm pretty sure they're more than happy that they're able to actually get back some of their some of their earnings that they pumped into this film, because animation films aren't cheap, especially at the way Warner Brothers has animated Trolls. Coming in at number 3 is The Amazing Godzilla -1, making $8.6 million. Currently sitting at $53 million worldwide, 26 of that being domestic, it's currently sitting at $52 million wide, 26 of that being domestic. It's an even split, actually, and 26 also being international. So it's split evenly. It's been out 11 days, so about 2 weeks at the point of you hearing this. If you haven't already, I have a spoiler review of the film up on the YouTube channel. Check it out, because I had a blast watching this film. I want to see it again. But it's super fantastic. For my further thoughts on that, check out the spoiler review of that episode. Coming in at number 1 is The Hunger Games: The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. It made $9.3 million, bringing its grand total up to $259 million. 136 of that being domestic, and 120 of that, and the other 120 being international. I didn't care to see this, so I skipped out on it. I know Miguel saw it, and Miguel loved it. But yeah, I didn't really care to see this. Do apologize. But yeah, I mean, it's making money. It's probably going to be the lowest making film of this franchise. Don't quote me on that, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know. But if I had to assume, this is definitely the lowest making film in the Hunger Games franchise, just because I know all of them made like ridiculous good money. As a matter of fact, let's go look it up and see if that is the case. So the original made 695, which means the second one made just probably about the same. Catching Fire made 865 million. And Mockingjay Part 1 made 755. And I believe Mockingjay Part 2 made $1 billion. Oh, no, excuse me. 666 or $61 million. So, yeah, this is by far going to be the lowest film at the box office for the Hunger Games series. I get it, just because it's a prequel. There's no Kat Everdeen or PETA, so where's really the appeal, in all honesty. Coming in at number 1 is going to be The Boy and Heroine, and the heroine. Huron, fumbling on my words here, making $13 million even, bringing its worldwide total up to $97 million, 12 of that being domestic and 84 of that being international. It's only been out a week at this point, really, a little less at the time of you hearing this and are watching. I haven't had the chance to check this out, but this film has a stacked cast, I should say, for its American cast, because the American cast includes Robert Pattinson, Christian Bale, Florence Pugh, William Dafoe, Gemma Chan, Mark Hamill, Dave Bautista, and more. Super insane. It's a freaking stacked cast. I'm going to check it out with my buddy Jay later tonight, so I'm super excited to see it. I haven't, if you don't know what the film is, if you don't know what the film is, essentially the plot of it is a young boy named Mahito, yearning for his mother, ventures into a world shared by the living and the dead. There, the dead comes to an end, and life finds a new beginning. A semi-autobiography fantasy from the mind of Hayao Miyazaki. If I butchered that, I do apologize. But the trailer looks fantastic. I think we're gonna be seeing it in dubbed, so I'm super excited. Or subbed. I watched some I'm subbed, but I know it's kind of a sin against the anime community if you're not watching in subbed. Me personally, growing up, I loved dub, but as I've gotten older, I don't mind. I don't mind subtitled. So we're just gonna move into the we're gonna move right into the two topics that we have here today. So Deadline reported just a couple days ago, about a week ago, that Stranger Things 5 is set to sets January production start for the 5th and final season. Exclusive. The gang is returning to Hawkins after delayed due to the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strikes. Production of the final season of Netflix's Stranger Things is expected to get underway in early January, sources tell Deadline. Things are in a flux, but multiple sources say Monday, January 8th is a target start date, with January 5th also being mentioned. Cast members are believed to already be in Atlanta, where Stranger Things films, for prep work, with table reads also slated for the next couple weeks before cameras start rolling in the new year. Stranger Things was close to starting production on season 5 when the WGA strike began on May 2nd. Scripts have been completed by them, but faced with prospects of filming without writers on set. Creators, executive producers, and showrunners, the Duffer Brothers, opted to instead postpone the production, which was delayed further by the actors' strike. Stranger Things star David Harbour told People on November 9th that he had gotten a call about starting production immediately after SAG-AFTRA and the studios reached a tentative agreement November 8th to end the strike at midnight that day. This is a quote that this is a quote of David Harbour. They literally called me, I think it was 10 minutes after the SAG thing on Twitter. He said, the first AD is like, so get the flight for you on Monday, right? We'll be acting in Atlanta. And that's end quote. Stranger Things main cast, OG cast, also includes Winona Ryder, Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gaten Mazzarato, Caleb McLaughlin, Natalie Dyer, and Charlie Heaton. Matt and Ross Duffer told Deadline last year that a major goal with the final season is sticking to the landing. Characters are going to be put into action. They're already going to have a goal and a drive, and I think that's going to carve out the last couple of hours and make the season feel really different, Matt Duffer said at the time. I'm sure the wrap-up will be longer. It's going to be Return of the King-ish with like 8 endings. In a September interview with Totally Film magazine, executive producer / director Sean Levy teased a big schedule. Sean Levy teased a big spectacle. It's a major cinematic storytelling that happens to be called a TV series, he said. Stranger Things 5 is as big as any of the movies that we see. So that is the end of the article. Pretty awesome. I wonder how true it is that they're actually going to be filming come January, just because they mentioned a couple dates. It's hard to I don't want to say it's hard to believe. But it is, at the time of you guys watching or listening to this episode, it's December 13th. It's Wednesday, December 13th. That leaves about 3 weeks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 3 weeks, almost 4, until January 8th. If it is January 5th, it's a little over 3 weeks. I don't want to say for them to do a table read. That's definitely not impossible. It just seems a little rushed to get through the table read. I know table reads aren't like the biggest thing. They're constant. Nowadays actors are constantly still learning their script on set. It's not an uncommon thing. But if it is true that they are shooting in January of 2024. Then I want to say it's more or less confirmed we're getting like Stranger Things in the summer of 2025. And I would say the first half, because it's definitely going to be a two-parter, just because that's how it is. Netflix, for whatever reason, has really gotten into part 1 and part 2 of seasons. Me personally, I don't mind it. I like it. If they did all of it at once, great. I mean, but the 2 parts keeps the show relevant a lot longer. That's one thing I say. The reason we get weekly releases from like Disney Plus, or we get like 2-part releases, is just to keep the show being talked about just a little bit longer than just watching it for a weekend and then it's done. I think that's one of the biggest issues with like video games, is that especially storyline games, is that people play them and they're done by the weekend. I mean, look at how hyped Spider-Man 2 was, and then we haven't talked about it, and it came out 2 months ago. I feel like God of War Ragnarok was talked for a lot longer, which also has a free DLC if you haven't checked it. You've finished Ragnarok, just if you don't know. Santa Monica Studios is giving out, or has released, a free DLC called Valhalla, which takes place in Valhalla. It's pretty awesome so far. Moving on to the final topic of the episode. James Cameron says Avatar 3 is right on track. We can watch part of the movie right now. So he told People.com. The filmmaker shared that the new installment in his award-winning series has been in production since he was making Avatar: The Way of Water. James Cameron is gearing up for his third Avatar movie. The filmmaker tells People that 3 is right on track for its scheduled December 19th, 2025 release. We did the capture on 3 and the live-action photography on 3 as an intermingled production with Avatar: The Way of Water. And we even did part of the movie. And we even did part of movie 4 because our young characters are going to have a big time jump in movie 4, Cameron explains. The Oscar-winning Titanic director notes that the 4th installment, which is scheduled for release in 2029, we see them and they go away for 6 years and we come back. And so the part where we come back is the part we haven't shot yet. So we'll start after that. We'll start on that after 3 is released. Speaking about the process of making the third Avatar film, Cameron shares that 3 is actually more straightforward than 2 in terms of production. 2, we got hit with the pandemic in the middle of it and we were interrupted. And then we had to reboot the production and all that sort of thing. And it was a scramble to get it done. He reflects on the process behind making Avatar: The Way of Water. Cameron's Avatar sequel, 2022 Avatar's The Way of Water, has grossed to a colossal $2.3 billion worldwide and didn't unseat Avatar's throne, which stands as the highest grossing film of all time with $2.9 billion. That has to have an asterisk. They re-released it because Endgame beat it. Whatever. But it is what it is. As far as what fans can expect from movie 3, Cameron confirms that Kate Winslet will reprise her role will return to reprise her role as Ronald. He also adds that Winslet went to school learning from a husband and wife shaman practice to master techniques she will employ in the next Avatar. When you see her, speaking about Winslet, doing the purification ritual to try and revive Kitty in the film, some of that stuff she was doing, some of that stuff she's going to do in movie 3. That's based on actual practice, director explains. Both Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water will be available on 4K Ultra HD and via digital retails on December 12th and on Blu-ray on December 9th. Wow. So that's a lot to pack in. I think it's pretty cool that he's bringing Kate Winslet back, considering, they've worked together. They worked together on Titanic. So I think that's pretty cool that he's bringing her back, her character. But for a guy who hated sequels or says, I won't do sequels, bumping out 4 for Avatar Doesn't seem like he hates sequels. Oh my gosh, I have such a love-hate relationship on James Cameron and what he does. Like, I hate all the crap he talks about, like Marvel and the MCU, when Marvel and the MCU was, I guess, at the peak of like it dominating the box office, and even after it, just because I feel like everything he says, like he looks dumb in my opinion when he's talking down on the MCU, but I also just hate how he talks about, people making sequels and all this, and he's going to making four. Gosh, I mean, 2025, yeah, is only 3 years, but I don't like. I understand he'll probably need a break from the Avatar series, which is probably going to be a year, considering we're getting it's 3 in between, 2 and 3 in terms of release date, and then it'll be 4 in between 3 and 4. So I'm assuming he'll take a year off, and then he'll work on it for the next 3 years, from 2026 to 2025 to 2028, probably 2029. But interesting that they're gonna have a time jump. There was already a big time jump in the last film in Avatar 2 between the first and second. I mean, I get it. It was 13 years in actual time from the first Avatar and the Way of Water. But it feels like there was an actual 13-year time jump in there, probably even a lot longer, depending on how the Na'vi age. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's cool. I'm glad it has its release date still at December 19th, 2025, just because, I mean, how much, I don't want to wait another 13 years for an Avatar film. But I mean, obviously he has a fourth one set in 2029. So and the stuff, and I feel like we're getting at a point too where, when you have established franchises, which I will say I think is smart, is when you're kind of shooting 2 films at once, if that makes sense. Like he said, he was shooting a lot of the third film in 2. Excuse me. So I think that's cool, and I think he said he even shot some of 4. Or he'll be shooting 4 while shooting 3. Kind of hard not to, in my opinion, especially when you're going to be taking a 6-year gap in between films. But yeah, I mean, hey, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's it's probably going to be fine. It's going to make a bunch of money. $2 billion worth. I'd have to say no. It's just me personally, but I mean, I could be wrong, because I said Avatar: The Way of Water tops out at 1.5 and went on to make another $800 million. So clearly, I don't know anything. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. If you haven't already, go check out all our episodes. Go check out all our previous releases of Movie News Monday and TV Inquiry. Movie News Monday is alive and well, and we're going to be getting an episode for you next Monday on, I don't know what actual day that is, but Monday, December, let me see. Whoops. That is going to be December 18th. We will be having a brand new episode of Movie News Monday. So stay tuned for that. And then very soon we'll have TV Inquiry back as well. But as far as I'm concerned, that's going to do it for this episode. For all of our socials, the link will be in the description below. But as always, I'm Adam, Sick Harvest Magnet.